Now, the one thing that I remember from when we were kids is you had two posters. You had Alyssa Milano, and then you had Cindy Crawford. Now, right now, Cindy's getting up there. Oh, hi. Welcome to webcast number 10 of the Two Old Pirates. You weren't supposed to hear any of that, but he did have a crush on both of them. I like Debbie Gibson.
I like Debbie Gibson, too.
She was good.
I also had a poster, I don't remember, it was twin engines. They were on motorcycles.
Don't remember that.
Okay. Yes. One of my favorites.
But we've decided to upgrade. I told you that there'd be some big things coming. You're seeing the Two Old Pirates live. Not live, but you're seeing Two Old Pirates on video now instead of just hearing our voices with that blank screen of Two Old Pirates. So welcome. I'm Eric. This is Gabriel.
Hello.
And, we're at podcast number 10. We're going to do something short, see if you guys like it. If you don't, we can always go back to just put the thing up and you don't have to see our face anymore. But I think I'm pretty damn good looking. And, I've got my Hawaiian shirt. Huh?
You're okay.
Thank you. I think you're pretty good looking, too.
I'm all right.
You got that goatee. I've never been able to do the full goatee right here, but I'm going to try someday.
You're getting there.
Thank you.
We're okay.
Anyways, we wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things with this podcast number 10 with this new technology that we're using. We have a producer that's going to be coming in to help us. He was on an earlier episode, earlier podcast named Vinny, and he's going to be running the show now with all this new technology that we're going to be using, try to get this stuff up to you guys. One of the first things that I wanted to talk about was the last podcast that we did was on coronavirus.
Right.
And when we did that, I don't remember the numbers that we talked about a couple weeks ago, but I do know that they've skyrocketed. They're closing in on 100,000 worldwide, which, when you talk about 7 billion people, that doesn't seem like it's a ton of people, but 100,000 is still 100,000 people. There's confirmed, I believe, 118 Americans that now have it. There's at least 9 deaths, mostly in Washington State. We just had a scare here in Texas, in San Antonio, where a woman who tested positive on her third sample, the first 2 samples came back negative. So they released her from a quarantine. And then, of course, if you've heard anything about the story, she had 12 free hours out in San Antonio at a hotel, at a mall. The mall shut down completely so they can go and try to fix any problems that might be there with her. Having been there, the food court, the hotel, her hotel room, the Uber that she was in, the shuttle from the hotel. So there's a lot of things that go into that. That's one person in San Antonio that they're worried about. It's now been found in Florida. It's in Georgia. It's on the East Coast. It's on the West Coast. There's a ton of people that came off a cruise ship that were in Nebraska. So it's everywhere in the United States. Last week, it still had not hit South America. And then a person flying from Italy that had the coronavirus flew into to Brazil. And that was the first case to where it made all the major continents outside of Antarctica. So it's there. It's something, and it is a strain of the common cold, except it deals more with the respiratory system, so therefore it can be deadly for those that have weakened immune systems or the elderly. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous or anxiety or scared are you about
6, 7.
About 6
maybe
or 7?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you just never know. You hear things, right? And so I don't think we have a plan yet in place. And I don't know, we don't know where it can spread to. We don't know who has it. So the cold, you can catch a cold. So I'd probably say a little higher than 7.
The sad thing that I've been hearing is the racism against Asian people that are happening in the United States. Because I don't want to say people around the world are ignorant, but they are. And just last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, they released a new poll in the United States where it showed that 38% of Americans believe that you get the coronavirus from Corona beer. And it was an actual poll. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't on like The Onion or something like that. And I'm sitting there thinking, even if 5% of our people thought that's 10%, we got 330 million, say, so that 33 million would be 10%. So now you're talking about 16.5, 17 million, something like that. That's a lot of dumb people to sit there and think that you drink a Mexican beer and you're going to get a Chinese virus.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's just that's so when I heard 38%, I'm all like, what do we? These people vote. They have driver's license. They're raising children, and they think Dos Equis is the safe.
Is that why we have the president that we have at the White House?
So next. I'm not as nervous about it. I don't, maybe it's just because I know that it's a strain of the common cold, and I know that most people that don't have compromised immune systems, this might knock you for a doozy for about 8 to 10 days and stuff, and then you'll recover. The recovered
Well,
numbers, the recovered
think,
numbers are almost at 50,000, and the infected is at 92,000. So if you look at the numbers, one out of every 2 is already recovered.
But when
so
do
that
you
number is
get,
going to continue to climb.
But when do you even know
that you have it?
Yeah.
You have to have you have to
but
test it.
does it go like a couple of days before you realize?
You're probably gonna
because
feel
I know like myself. I mean, I get a cold and I'm just, if I feel good, I'm going. I mean, I don't go to the doctor just because I get a little cold. I continue to go.
Well, there's an
but
elderly,
with this coronavirus, I'm a little worried.
There's an elderly woman
wow.
in Washington that died, and they thought she died of natural causes. And then when they did the autopsy, they found out that the coronavirus was actually what caused her to die.
Yeah.
She already had medical conditions, and she was elderly, but the coronavirus was the thing that pushed her over the limit to where she passed away. So she was on the death certificate. They had to go back and rewrite coronavirus as the main culprit. So there's 9 dead in Washington state. And when Americans hear 9 dead, they're like, oh my God, pandemic, everybody's going to be contagious. We all have to wear masks. But more people died than that driving to work today.
Probably
22 people died in Tennessee from Mother Nature with the tornado last night. So I don't fear it as much as some other people, not because I think that I'm invincible. It's just I can't jump to those levels of high anxiety over things like that because I'm thinking officially we have 1 case in Texas, in San Antonio. I saw on the CDC they want to say there's 19 cases, but they haven't really updated on Johns Hopkins, which I follow. It's updated like every 5 minutes, the amount of deaths and stuff.
I think the thing is, what's the plan? I think
the plan is it's got to run its course because you can't kill a virus. You can't defeat a virus.
No, I think I'm saying with the plan. It's getting into the states, getting in already, and coming down. What's the plan to stop that? Because I think that's what we haven't heard yet. At least I haven't heard yet. What's the plan? It started at this country, and now it's coming in. And so, how big will this get? The unknown, I think, is what's scary. Because I'm with you too. It's
what I think is scary is that. To the majority of people that have any reservations about it is due to the fact that it's now found on all major continents. It travels
and
fast. We know how you catch it. It's communicable. It's if you coughed in my hand and I shook your hand, or if you touched something that somebody else had already done and then you touched your face, then you could go ahead and possibly get something. So they say wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, be careful.
I do all those things anyway.
If you do those things, then you should be okay. But you don't know if somebody's going to cough.
Right.
And 10 seconds later it's still misting and you walk through it and breathe it through your nasal passages and stuff. So you just have to be careful and hope for the best. And if you start feeling bad, go to the doctor and they can swab and they can check things down and then you can go and get the proper treatment. But viruses are what they are. What else did you want to talk about today?
I don't know. We got politics.
Today's Super Tuesday. We already know that President Trump will receive all the Republican delegates, so he's going to be renominated to run for his 2nd term. On the Democratic side, we had Pete Buttigieg drop out, and we had Amy Klobuchar drop out, and they endorsed Joe Biden last night. So today is a huge day in politics, if you like politics like I do. So you have 14 states that are voting today to try to send out their delegates to either one of...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Because you follow this more than I do. I just recently started getting involved in or wanting to know more about politics. Why did they endorse Joe Biden and not Bernie Sanders?
In
your opinion?
Oh, well, it's fact. It's not just an opinion. The classical Democrat is more for social issues, but Bernie Sanders is more for social issues on steroids. He really wants to go ahead and have a lot of things that we don't know how they'd be paid for. And when you talk to people that are against that, they say, I work hard for my money, so therefore, why should I have to give it up to somebody else? I put myself through college. Why should the next generation have free college? I have to pay $1,000 a month for my health insurance. Why should, after me, other people get it for free? And, that's a personal decision. I understand both sides of the coin, but Bernie is a democratic socialist where he believes that more taxes should be taken out of your paycheck for the betterment of all. And because of that, you would have less sick people. You'd have less, uneducated people, because everybody would be able to. But some people, which you can understand, would sit there and say, but that's my paycheck. Why should I have to pay for somebody else that I don't even know so that they can get an education? I didn't get to get an education. So it's a very touchy subject. And so he's extremely far left compared to Biden. So Biden's more like the typical Democrat in the middle, kind of like Clinton or Obama. He's going to sit there in the middle and kind of work with Republicans. Bernie's like a revolutionary. He's way off to the left. So those two, to keep he's a mayor right now of South Bend, Indiana, so he's not even in Congress. But if he ever he's very young, and he has a lot of really good values about him. So if he ever wants to run for political, I mean, he's only 38. If he would have technically ran and won, that would have been the youngest president in the history of America. You have to be at least 35 to run.
I think he's got a bright future in
politics. So he has a very bright future. So if he ever wants to run again, does he attach himself to the revolutionary? That's Bernie, who's got very, very radical ideas that some young people really attach themselves to? Mm-hmm. Or do you attach yourself to Joe Biden, the 78-year-old run-of-the-mill Democrat, where you could say, hey, remember, I stood with Joe Biden. Now, he either beat Trump in 2020 or he didn't beat Trump, but I was there with him. And that way, Democrats in the future. These people are always thinking about the future.
In your opinion, which one has a better chance of beating Trump?
Joe Biden.
That's what we're going with.
That's who you have to have. Yeah. Because Bernie, although he says a lot of nice things and stuff, when they actually ask him about the amount of money and stuff, and he
doesn't
brings
have
up
an answer.
Well, he has an answer, and it's a really large number of dollars that would have to be raised.
And you can't get there. You can't get to that number.
And
it'd be difficult to get to that number. I've heard him talk, but I think one thing I do like about Bernie Sanders, though, I've heard him talk here for a couple of years, and he's always the same person. I mean, he just continues to believe in what he believes in, and if you're going to vote me in, this is the way it's going to be. So you know what you're getting from this guy. Most politicians, they'll say something one year, and then they'll vote this way. This guy with Bernie, man, you know what you're getting. I mean, this is who I am. I'm telling you what I'm going to do, and if you agree and you like, then you come vote for me. If not, he's not going to change his views.
No,
just who he is.
The oldest person we had ever had elected was Ronald Reagan. And he was in his late 60s when he was elected. I think he was 67 or 68. And then the next thing that is we have Donald Trump come along. Everybody's known him since the 80s, as the Donald and all the different things that, he's been known for. And, whether he's a billionaire or not, we don't know. He hasn't released his taxes, but he's very wealthy. And then he was on
about 250 million, somewhere 300 million.
Well,
is what people are estimating. It's hard to say.
What people don't understand is when you pass by certain, large buildings that have the Trump name, that doesn't mean he owns it. Right. That means he's rented his name out and they put Trump on it. Right. So a lot of people are
I think it's safe to say he's not Bloomberg money, is he?
No, he's very jealous of Mike Bloomberg.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Bloomberg released his taxes. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Trump still says he's being audited. But that's who he is. He's never going to release it because it might show something that we don't like. Maybe it shows he's not really as rich as he says, and he's been living on.
I don't think he is. I mean, not to say that he's poor, right? But I don't think he's where he says he is. But we'll never know.
But so you got 4 people left, and today is a huge day. Bernie Sanders just a week ago looked like he was going to take the majority of the delegates. Joe Biden was going to be.
Well,
out.
didn't he just?
But the thing is, talking about the age again. Bernie is like 78 and Biden's like 78. So the thing is,
how old is Trump?
He's probably 73 or 74 now. Yeah. So the thing is, we just went in 2016 to electing the oldest president ever. And now, if one of these two guys gets the nomination from the Democrats and they win, now you're going to elect a guy even older than he is. And we already know Bernie had a heart attack a month or two ago. They had to have stents put in, which they said he's fine now, which he might be. He might live to 100. Who knows? But the thing is, whatever happened to the youth? When we got Obama, he was in his 40s. Yeah. And then it's like we jumped and said, no. And there was a large portion of this country that saw a young, successful black man become president. And then we jumped, and now you're looking at old white people again. There's no color left, and there's only one woman left. So you have Bloomberg, who's in his 70s. You have Sanders, who's in his 70s. You have Biden, who's in his 70s, and you have Elizabeth Warren, who's almost 70s.
I think this election came down to it didn't come. I don't think that we looked and really paid attention to what they were saying. I feel it was more of who can beat Trump. And that was the bottom line. Which one of these guys has the better chance? And whoever that has that better chance, I mean, that's what we want. I mean, if you're not voting for Trump, then the best guy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we just got to get this guy out of office. A lot of people, I hear a lot of people talk like that are against Trump, and then that's scary because that may not be the right guy that can take us where we need to go. We just want one guy out. It's kind of like Trump and Hillary. People, I don't think, when I talked to a lot of people 4 years ago, 3 years ago, people said to me, I just don't like Hillary. So why did you vote for Trump? Because I don't like Hillary. Nobody ever said, well, we think Trump will do this. We think that he'll be good to this. It was always, well, I don't like Hillary. So who's left? So I'm taking Trump because I don't like Hillary.
I have an idea on the subject of why Hillary Clinton didn't win. A lot of people didn't like her. And if you look at the way politics are, they're very, very dirty. Like when John Kerry ran against George Bush, this is a guy who went to Vietnam.
Absolutely.
Right, got the Silver Star, saved his own soldiers, got Purple Hearts. And what did they do? They turned around and they got other Vietnam vets who were Republican to run against him, saying that he wasn't a real hero. Because what he did is, when he came back after the Vietnam War, he went to the White House and threw his medals over the fence and basically said, what we're doing over there is wrong. I've been there. I killed people. I saw people die. This is wrong. And he threw his medals away. So they had people come out and they railroaded him. They said, look, he doesn't even care about America. He threw his stuff away. That's his right. He put his life on the line. He went out there. But you know what? He lost to a guy who Dad made sure he got into the Air National Guard. People say George W. Bush did serve. Well, you know what? He served in Texas. He made sure he didn't have to leave. And that's fine. That's fine. A lot of people did that. But don't throw the other guy who went to Vietnam under the bus, the same way George W. Bush's campaign threw John McCain under the bus, who went over there and was in prison for 5 years.
Yeah,
so the thing is, and I'm not throwing this, I'm not doing Republican, Democrat, I'm saying politics are dirty.
They are.
So when Clinton came up, they had Benghazi, they had Whitewater, her husband cheated on her, all these other things. There was even people that were coming up with these crazy things, that there's a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C., that in the basement, which there's not a basement, they were running a pedophile ring and Hillary Clinton was running it. There's other people that believe that she was a reptilian race. I mean, just really far, way out there things. And at the bottom of the day, I don't think it's so much the policies that she believed in. I believe it's one thing. And I might be wrong with this, and I'm not a professor or anything. She was a woman.
Could be.
And no matter how much you hate her, women can sit there and say, well, I didn't like her anyways. I'm telling you, I don't think men are ready to have a female.
Well, it was most of the people that I heard from were men that I just don't like her. And
they can bring Benghazi to cover themselves. Yeah. They can bring this.
You think there's
but every single case every
single
time that they had a meeting or a trial, not a trial, but any time that they had a congressional hearing or anything, she was found nothing. One day she testified for 11 hours about Benghazi, and at the end of the day, no charges, nothing was. And that's the Republicans. They decided not to do anything about it because they said, there isn't really anything here. We spent so much money, we spent millions of U.S. tax dollars on this Benghazi thing, and there was nothing there. And so what happened is, but they tried to smear her with that, like putting peanut butter on a piece of bread, so that when she did run, Benghazi. And I'm not saying what happened was right or wrong. I'm just trying to say that's how politics work. You have to make your opponent look as bad as possible so that when the election comes, you keep bringing those things up, and we are like dog whistles. We hear something, we're like, oh, I remember that. So what happens is, I think there's a lot of men that were intimidated. I mean, men didn't want women to vote until 1920.
Right. We still got a lot of old
there's a lot of people, women are supposed to be at home, and they won't look at you eye to eye and sit there and say that. Because they don't want to be called misogynistic or sexist.
Right.
But what's in their heart of hearts is the same thing with some people that are still walking around that are racist. They know in their heart of hearts what they feel about people of color.
Absolutely.
But they can't say it because they'll lose a job, they'll lose their livelihood, they might get their ass whipped.
Right.
So the thing is, they can't say that.
Well,
so they'll get along.
What's there is what I feel. So now,
Trump is going to win in November.
Well, let's not go that far.
No, I love politics and I study this stuff. I don't see his 40% of his base ever leaving him. So if those people, and they're going to go vote. So if you can't get Hispanic, African American, young, old, blue collar workers, the people that used to be the foundation of the Democratic Party, if they don't come out to vote because they don't like Bernie, or if they don't come out to vote because they don't like Biden, his 40% is going to show up. All right, and they're going to show up, and they'll be out there for hours.
I think there is a good chance, though, that well, I'm hoping that Biden, because like I said, we had a talk earlier today, and I said, look, I like Bernie Sanders. There was a guy that I was talking to today, and we were talking about Bernie Sanders, and I said, man, I like the guy. I because like I said, I respect the guy because he believes in what he believes in, and I'm not going to change, and nobody's going to make me change. If you like it, you vote for him. If you don't, you don't.
Oh, he says things that are extremely unpopular with a lot of people,
Yeah,
but he's not going to change just to get
That's
elected.
what I'm saying, and that's one thing.
And he's got more money right now. The thing about Joe Biden, the reason why I'm saying, I'm not just throwing out there, I think Trump's going to win because I just think that. I've studied this stuff. Right now, Bernie Sanders has, like, I would say probably 20 times more money raised than Joe Biden. Joe Biden's running on nothing right now. By him winning South Carolina and then having Buttigieg and Klobuchar
endorsement,
they think today he might bounce back. If he doesn't bounce back today, and just a week ago they said Sanders was going to win about 70% of the delegates today. If he would have won that, it's over. Biden would be out. And Warren would be out, and probably Bloomberg, unless he just wants to hang out with his billions of dollars and his ego. And you would have Bernie Sanders as your Democratic candidate. And it would be sewn up, and we would know what was going to happen. But because of what happened in South Carolina, where Biden won very strongly, and because those two people backing him, they're saying in some of these states that were for sure going to go Bernie, he might chip in and get 15 to 20% of the vote, which keeps him alive, raises more money. More people say, hey, Biden might have a chance. Right. If those things don't happen, and tonight will be the night, we'll know by the end of tonight, and Bernie has the majority of them, Bernie's going to face Donald Trump. And the people that attacked Hillary Clinton for Benghazi and stuff like that, they're going to have far more ammunition to attack him because they're going to talk about he wants to take your money. Right. The other thing was, did she leave 4 people to die in Benghazi? They made a movie about it, the 13 hours of Benghazi. Okay, all these things were done and stuff, but the thing is, they weren't, her emails were missing and stuff. It wasn't personally affecting you. It pissed you off as an American, maybe, that people died over in Libya. It pissed you off, are there emails missing and stuff? But when they start running the ads of Bernie wants this, so he needs your money.
Yeah.
And people are attached to their money very strongly, so therefore.
And that's why we need Biden to win.
But I'm telling you, unless something,
because
tonight will be the night. When those of you sitting at home or on your phones or when you watch this, it would have already happened, and we will know if Biden pulled off enough states tonight out of the 14 states to keep alive.
It might have been a little too late because a lot of people had already voted.
Yes, that's true.
And so we'll see where he ends up. But for all these people that. I guess just by us talking, they know we're not Trump supporters, but we welcome anybody here that wants to come in and talk on pro-Trump. If you don't like what we're saying or you disagree with what we're saying, come on up, right? We'll take anybody on here.
I think Gabriel and I both have reasons why we don't like our president right now.
Let me just say.
I think Gabriel's told me in just private discussions over and over, and he can expound upon it a little bit. But he doesn't like him because he doesn't like the man. He doesn't like his personality. It's nothing about the presidency. It's about who the person is, how he represents the United States, how he acts, and things like that. The reason why I don't like the guy is I don't think that we should be having a person just be able to come in with money and a name. And people are going to sit there and say, well, who was Obama before? At least he was a United States senator. George W. Bush was a part-time owner of the Texas Rangers, and then he ran for governor on a name because Dad had been president and stuff. Bill Clinton, he was a nobody, but he had at least been governor of a state. To have a reality TV guy come in, it makes me feel like we're in the Kardashian era, where anybody can run and win. I thought it was a joke when he ran, because there were so many other viable Republicans that were really good people, I thought, that could really do good for the country. And one by one, they all fell off. And he was still standing there. I'm all like, where is the mentality of the American populace that they would look at a Marco Rubio or a Jeb Bush or any of the other people that were running, and there was 18 of them, and say, that guy's not good enough. This guy over here who pokes fun at everybody, calls people names, makes fun of the handicap, all the things that he does, we know who Donald Trump is. Don't lie to yourself, right? We know who he is. The thing is, to sit there and say, that's the guy that I want, that scares me a little bit, because I'm like, we want a character.
It should scare you.
We want somebody with personality, not empathy towards people and stuff. And any time that he does something in the news that we see, like when he went to Puerto Rico and he's like throwing paper towels at people. I mean, it's an island that's devastated, And I saw that. I'm like, these people need they need you to shake your hand. They need to hug. They need some. They don't want you.
Well, it's who he is, Eric. This is who he is, man.
But the people that are going to see this and be offended by this, I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm just trying to let you know this is why we have problems. I see a caricature that we elected because he was on a TV show. Don't tell me that you voted for him because he's a Christian or anything like that. Because last time I checked, two divorces, 5 kids by 3 different women and stuff, sleeping with prostitutes and porn stars and stuff. This is not a good Christian man. So don't throw me that. If you're going to say the economy was already moving forward when he took over. So, you've kind of pigeonholed yourself into this little bitty area of why he should be a good president. I haven't seen anything bad happen in the economy. So if you're going to sit there and say it's just because of the economy, then run on that. But don't, outside of that sphere of the economy, there's not a whole lot as him as a human being.
But overall, I mean, just overall, to me, the person that he is not somebody that I would want to elect into the position of the White House to run this country. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with everything that he does.
But to be fair to the people that watch this, the blowback towards us, if we say something like that, is they're like, do you think Hillary would have been better? Do you think Biden would be better? We don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know. I just know that I didn't like the caricature. We're electing somebody you're fired. Okay, people saw that on TV and they're like, hey, I'll vote for that. What's next? Kanye West? Is he going to be president? I mean, where is it? And where do we get back to? And I understand politicians are kind of slimy. I'm not saying that they're not. They're going to go ahead and cut deals. I scratch your back. Quid pro quo. All that stuff's going to go on anyways. But the thing is, if they're at least trying to show some decency and that they're going to try to raise the minimum wage or make things better for certain people and stuff, even if it doesn't go through Congress and they can't sign it as a bill and stuff, you're trying. You're doing something. But to me, it seems like President Trump has tried to make it look almost like he deserved this.
Well,
he kind of acts the arrogance of the way he acts when he talks to world leaders and stuff. Like, I'm a little lost as an American.
Well, I look at this as like he sees himself as the savior. To say he saved this, we should all applaud him. I saved America. I think that's the thing that scares me about him is that he believes it. He honestly believes that he saved us. He comes out there and makes comments and does things, and talks to people. If you're against him, he makes fun of you. He comes in. He's got a name for almost every politician, I think.
But see,
and so to me,
what you're saying is that leads into what I was about to say. That what narcissism is. A narcissist is somebody who never thinks that they're wrong.
Right.
And you can sit there and say, well, did Obama ever say this? Did Bush ever say this? Did Clinton ever say this? Did Reagan ever say this? We're not talking about them. I'm talking about my president right now.
Right.
Have you ever heard him say, I was wrong?
I don't think he's ever done it in his life, to be honest.
But I'm saying, if you're in front of a national audience, and you know that you probably did something stupid on Twitter or something like that, it takes a real man to be able to sit there and say, you know what?
Right.
Shouldn't have tweeted that. I made a mistake. And as your president,
it's always somebody else's fault.
Somebody else's fault.
It's always somebody else's fault. It's never going to be.
When I watched the State of the Union and the Tuskegee Airman that was there, he was honored, and then he gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom that Rosa Parks, Jesse Owens, all these famous people that did great things for America. He gave it to Rush Limbaugh, a man who spewed hate for over 25 years. Has made fun of homosexuals, made fun of black people, made fun of anybody who's not in his ilk. He's just a disgusting human being.
Yeah.
And he was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom, along the likes of Jackie Robinson and people that did things for this country that made us better. And he sat on his fat butt and just talked into a microphone for 3 hours a day about how everybody else was bad and they're worthless. And people forget he dodged the draft because he had an anal fissure.
Yeah.
He was on welfare because he said he was too tired to be able to mow the lawn, so therefore he had somebody else mow the lawn for him, and he was on welfare. This is a man who was addicted to oxycodone,
right? Which
I'm not making fun of anybody who's on addiction, but this guy would be the same guy who would point a finger at you and sit there and say, hey, you're a bad person because this and that. He had his own demons. He had his own problems. And to give him Presidential Medal of Freedom when all he's ever done is make a career out of making fun of people and being evil, misogynistic, sexist, racist, anything that you want to call him, he did it all. He called Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's daughter a dog.
Right.
I mean, you don't do things like that. And then he stands there and going to cry, and he's a piece of garbage.
Oh,
He's a human piece of garbage. And then that old black man sitting there, and he did something for this country. And people that contacted me after I put something up on social media about that, they're like, well, eventually they gave him a higher rank, the African American, which he probably was happier with that. I'm like, but you know what? He's going to be happier with that. But in American history, he should be in that book of people that got Presidential Medal freedoms, and not Rush Limbaugh. You can't have all these people like Mother Teresa, the popes, all this other stuff, and then Jack the Ripper. You can't throw somebody in there that's just a piece of garbage. And I'm sorry for those that listen to Rush Limbaugh and you like him. He is a piece of garbage. And if you don't like it, comment on it, because I'll tell you, I can list 100 different times that he has made fun of people and said
and we
horrible,
welcome you to come on the show if you want to debate this with this man. We welcome you to come on. Comment if you disagree or agree with us. But if you don't like what's being said here and you have something to say, you can even come on to the show. You can come on right here to our podcast, and you can debate it. We welcome you. I think that's enough about politics right
Sure.
there.
I got a little.
No, I love it. I love it, man. I like.
I just don't like seeing people that are evil and mean, like Alex Jones, telling people that their children were killed at Sandy Hook, that they were actors, that it never happened.
Right.
And his ass was finally drug into court by the people that were suing him, the parents that had to go bury a child that was shot. And don't forget, people don't even know this. They release this information since there's so much information out there. Each of those killed at Sandy Hook, those little bitty kids, those little bitty bodies, the guy who shot them didn't shoot once. It came out years later. Each kid was shot between 5 to 10 times. Each. And there was multiple children killed. And teachers. So he wanted to do as much damage and make sure that they were dead. So he didn't just like sporadically just shoot and stuff. When he was finally brought and he had to testify, he said, I'm an entertainer. The person that you hear on the radio, on InfoWars, and the things that I say, that's not real. That's not me. I just do that for a living because I have to have an income. So what happens is, for years in Austin, he had been spitting this evil, hateful stuff, and people listen to that stuff, and they'll go out and want to attack people, whether it's on social media or maybe even physically, under the idea that he was somehow telling the truth. It was a talk show just like this, but instead of just talking like how we do about realities and stuff, it was just 100% bullshit that he was saying. And he kept that act up until he was finally brought into court, and he had to say, under oath, I'm sorry, it's a joke. That's a character I play. And so what happens is, what do all those people that put all their faith and belief into that man over all those years, when it was all a lie, it was all a joke, and he was just doing it to stir the pot of hate to make money. And so the thing is, Rush Limbaugh does the same thing. He gets angry people to listen to him about things that they don't like.
That's how they
and instead of saying, how can we cure it? How can we fix it? How can we bring Republicans, Democrats, and independents together? It's always divisive. Because the only way I'm going to make money is if I have people pissed off. If I sit there and say, hey, here's the cure. Let's fix it this way. I'm not going to have anybody listen to me tomorrow, because guess what? The problems are over.
Right.
So the thing is, if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm not saying that people that have differing opinions to me, but they don't do anything to cure it. They never sit there and say, this is what we should do. Let's reach across the table and shake hands and try to fix things. Democrats are going to be separated, Republicans are going to be separated, and that's the way it is. And we're going to be angry with each other.
And if we did do it the other way, we would get a lot of things accomplished. It's just a matter of what. And you're right, we're never going to get there, because we want to be right over fixing the things. If it comes from a Democrat, so, being that I'm in the middle, because sometimes I look at Republicans and they'll say something, I'll say, you know what, I kind of agree with what they say. And sometimes the Democrats will say something and I'll disagree or agree, same thing with Republicans. But the one thing that I will say is that that's what I want to see. I want to see unity, because we are the best country in the world. And I want to see unity instead of fight, because if the Democrats come up with something it's good for this country, it came from a Democrat, we're not going to do it. If it's a Republican, they come up with something good, but it's a Republican, or even in this case Donald Trump, we don't like him, and so we're not going to do it.
During the impeachment, you saw it. All the Democrats voted to have him impeached. No Republicans voted for that.
Right.
They did not see anything wrong. Then when it goes to the Senate to remove him, all Democrats vote to remove him, but they didn't have the majority. All Republicans, besides Mitt Romney on one of the counts, vote, nope, nothing wrong, let him go. And so what happens is that shows you right there the divide. There wasn't one Democrat that would step across and say, maybe we went too far with this. Because they want to get elected. They're after Trump. They're going to get Trump. The Republicans, on the other hand, say, I didn't see anything wrong. There's nothing that happened. It was much ado about nothing.
But what's fueling
and
that?
what happens is because they want to get elected, saying I stood
and that's
for
what
our
I.
president. And that's what's wrong. Are they there for us? Because remember, they are representatives. We elect these people to represent us, not to take lobbyist money, not to go ahead and make their own bills and what they believe in. If you have a guy representing you right now and he's passing bills that you don't agree with, the only power that we have is either vote them out the next election, or you can call their office. They always say, call your elected representative's office. What's that going to do? You can leave a message, and they're going to sit there and say, oh, how many people called in bitching about the thing that I wanted to go ahead and have passed? Oh, 4,000? How much did the lobbyists pay me? That's how it works.
Right.
And it's sad. And
that's what
think that it's 100% based on what we want.
And that's what needs to change, because that's the problem that I see here is that I'm going to vote somebody in, but I want somebody to do what's right. We forgot we do wrong things, or we do things that, something comes up and we get pressured by the fact, well, I may not get elected. Who cares if you get elected or not? Do the right thing, damn it. Do the right thing.
That's the thing. They always want to get reelected, and they're not going to do the right thing.
Right, and that's the problem. And we're always going to be in the shithole that we're in until we change it.
The only way that you change it is you'd have to have every single congressman line up and senator and sit there and say, we're going to have term limits. That way, if I'm screwing up or if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, my ass is going to be gone.
Right.
And what happens is, there's probably been 40% of the congressmen that I've heard that get elected, and they say when they get elected, the first thing I'm going to do when I get elected is I'm going to propose a bill that is for term limits, because I don't need to be here. I don't need to. You know what? Nancy Pelosi, a lot of people hate her, but guess what? She's been there like 40 years.
Right.
That's 40 years of $100-something thousand, and don't forget, after she retires, she gets that for the rest of her life.
Right.
So what happens is, people hate her, but the thing is, people keep electing her. People that run for re-election get re-elected over 90% of the time.
Right.
So the thing is, you keep seeing the same face because it's the face that you know.
Right.
And so the only way you fix that is you have to go into each district and say, you bitch and moan about Congress. Congress has always got like a 15 to 19% approval rating, which means that, you got maybe 10 to 15 out of every 100 people that actually say they're doing a good job. And what happens is when you do that, you're basically saying, we don't have faith in you. But the only people that they have faith in is the guy that represents them. So the local guy that we got here after, Ortiz had been in there forever, then Farrenhold beat him, then Farrenhold had to resign because he was paying, using the money and stuff like that. So the new guy that we got, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but the thing is, he's young, he's got a family, he's in there now. Do you think he's going to sit there and collecting $170,000 a year, and he gets all the perks of being there, and he gets to be on TV for interviews, and he gets to take votes, and he gets to see presidents, and he gets to maybe travel and stuff? Do you think he's going to sit there after 2 years and say, I don't want to do this anymore?
Then
No, he's just going to say, I want to do this for as long as I can freaking hold on to this thing. So I'm going to kiss butt once a year and come home and shake hands and kiss babies so I can get reelected, so I can get another 2 years up in Washington.
But
the thing is, if they're doing something.
But it's also the vote, so everybody needs to get involved, pay attention to what's going on. In other words, I don't do politics. I don't listen to politics. Eric said that this person's bad, so guess what? This person's bad. That needs to stop. No, in seriousness.
But the thing is, we're lazy.
Get yourself involved, understand what's going on, and go vote, man.
I had another educator today tell me. He's an African-American guy, right? And he said, in my culture, in my neighborhood, we just didn't vote.
Right.
I said, why is that? It said, because your vote doesn't count, right? And he's all, what's one vote? He's all, I'd hear it from family members, I'd hear it from different people. He's all like, what's one vote going to matter? It doesn't matter. But when you get that whole family to go vote, and you get their extended family, cousins and uncles and stuff, and growing up in South Rockport with all the Hispanic people,
right.
There wasn't a whole lot of Hispanic people that would go vote either, because they're I'm not really part of the deal. Nobody really talks to me. I'm not part of the government. And what's my one vote going to do? So what happens is, if you could get Hispanics are 18% of the population now. African Americans are 14. That's 32% of the population. If you could get a majority of them to go vote, you could get anybody elected if those people want them elected. So, whites by 2050 will be in the minority. When you add up Asian, other races, Hispanic, and African Americans, they will be the majority combined against the white population, which has always been in the majority since they came over and during the early colonies and stuff. But when you look at that, there's such power there of what you said. If we just got it, how do you get people to do that? Don't know. Because 18 to 25-year-olds are the worst voters. They're lazy. They're apathetic. They don't care. Who cares about politics, man? I'm going to go ahead and smoke me a bowl over here. I'm going to order a pizza and stuff. They don't care.
But
But what happens is their taxes are being taken out and used.
Right.
They might be drafted
But
someday.
they learn late. Look, I was never really a guy that voted either when I was 19. I just was like, yeah, I'll vote. But I started to realize, especially now that I get involved, I'm not going to listen to what a friend of mine or what a family member tells me. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to say, I want to look, I want to pay attention. I want to go to meetings. I want to hear what the elected officials or people, what are they doing for us? Who's the right person? And that's what we would encourage everybody to do. Get out and vote, right? But get involved in your communities. Find out what's going on. Your vote does count. It does matter. Because then we get these people that stick in there and we complain and complain and complain. Well, this is going on. There's only one way to oust that person. Anybody that's in office that we disagree with, that we don't like, then you need to go out and vote. So if there's somebody in my county, let's just say, that I don't agree with, and I know, and I don't like, I'm going to go vote. It may make the change, it may not, but I voted. If everybody thinks like that, we're going to get the right person in there at some point because we want what's good, right? But if we don't vote and we complain, nothing will change. And that person up there, Washington, will stay there for 25, 30 years.
And here's the deal. When we were little kids, we lived with all these dreams and, tooth fairy and different things like that. And then we grow up. And we realize there's not really Santa Claus. There's a spirit of Santa Claus, but there's no real Santa Claus and stuff.
Does that spirit count?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sad that it only comes in December when we treat other people nice. But the thing is, the problem with politics is, and I don't tell my students this because I want them to believe that the world is their oyster and they can change the world stuff. But until you can get honest people to run that will not be bought by other people. And that's the one thing Bernie Sanders does have going for him.
Right.
He says, I will not be bought by the corporations and stuff. That's the only redeeming value that even the farthest right Republican will find about him, that he'll sit there and say, you can't buy me.
Right.
They might hate everything else about him, but if you want quality in a person that sits there and says, I'm not taking huge amounts of money from corporations, I'm not taking huge amounts from billionaires and stuff, I'm running for you, the American people. That is kind of what most people would want, but most people still don't like.
Question: how much money's got? About $2 million.
What?
What's he worth? About $2 million.
Bernie, I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, let's just say $2 million. That's good enough for me. I can live like a king with $2 million, couldn't I? I don't need the billions, do I?
But see, the thing is, you get to say some radical way we change Congress and we get rid of all the people that just hang on and they're making cash, they're passing bills, but they're hanging on like Nancy Pelosi and stuff. They're just there forever, right? And you say, that's it, we're going to get rid of them.
It's time to go.
We're going to start fresh.
Absolutely.
You have to somehow get those people that are fresh to not be spoiled by the same things that spoiled Nancy Pelosi and them when they first got in. Because most politicians, I think, I could be naive, want to do the right thing when they first get elected.
Absolutely.
But there's so much of, if you get this bill passed for me, then I'll make sure that your next election will pay for all your posters and all your ads. And there's all these deals that have to be done that they've always said politics is dirty. And I always say to my students, if you want to watch a really good movie that was filmed, I believe, in 1939, it's called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's black and white, but if you watch that, you'd sit there and say, it was dirty back then. Politics has always been dirty. It's always been dirty. And so the thing is, when you think about it always being dirty, how can it get better? That's a dream, kind of like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. It's not going to get better.
I think it can.
I don't mean to.
I think it can.
I don't mean to be a downer. It can't. There's no way. How can you clean it up? There's no way. You've got to get all that big money out, and there's no way that those corporations are never going to let their claws out.
Let me ask you, if you got into office, could you be bought?
Absolutely not.
If I got into office, could
I would never
absolutely
get. I would
There's
never.
two right there.
I would never.
And it's real easy.
Real
easy.
But I would never get into office because in the old days, they used to shoot you.
Hypothetically,
they kill you
personally. If you did get into office, could you be bought? I've known you for 40
No,
plus years.
there's no way.
And I believe you.
No, there's no
And
way.
if I get into office, I couldn't be bothered. There's two people right there, and it was real easy.
In psychology, when I teach psychology, I try to explain about how some people can be bought. And I said, it's not about the money to me, it's about the principle.
Right.
And so what happens is they say, so Mr. Wolf, you wouldn't take $1 million. We've all seen that joke on social media where say, would you take $500,000 to slap your mom in the face? And you see all these people, man, my mom would kick my butt if I didn't take that money and slap her and stuff. It's not about the money. Because of course I'd want $500,000, but it's the principle. You would own me you would own me. So what happens is, if it was $1 trillion, and that sounds crazy that a person would say no to $1 trillion, it's not about the trillion. Of course I'd want that. It would make everything possible in my life. But the thing is, you would own me, and with my principles, the way I live my life, I couldn't live with myself knowing that I did something that I did not want to do, that you asked me to do, and I only did it for money.
So I want people to understand this.
And you
on this podcast, I want people to understand this. How did you get those principles?
My mom and dad taught me.
I said I couldn't be bought off. How did I get those principles with my family? That's how you make the change. You start principles since the day you're born. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's how you make the changes. By growing up, just the way you just talked about. You were raised, your mom and dad, I knew them very well, raised you with principle. You didn't pick this up from anybody. It was something that was instilled in you and in me since we were kids. Now that we're still young.
I just had a birthday last week. I'm still in the 40s.
I'm still in the 40s too, but I will say this. This is how it started.
Your birthday's coming up, April?
We're not talking about birthdays.
But it's in April, right?
Right now. No.
It's May then. It's April or May. I know it's right at the end of the school year.
But what we're going to say is that that's how it starts. That's how you make the change.
But
because you can't be bought. You live 40-something years, and you have confidence right now that they couldn't buy you up. And I have the same confidence just because we were raised a certain way. We love money. You love money. I love money, right? But we're going to do the right. In other words, what I'm saying to you is that money is not going to supersede the principle that we have.
I think it's also individually who we are, because maybe it's the way we were raised. Maybe it was the neighborhood we grew up in. Maybe there's a lot of different things.
All of those things combined.
I'm telling you, my oldest boy, who I love with all my heart, if somebody told him, jump over this thing or something, I'll give you $50, he'd go do it.
Right.
Not because he's dumb. He likes money.
Right.
He likes fashion. He likes clothing and stuff like that. He likes, his girlfriend likes nice things.
But would the money supersede the principles that he has had?
But for me, no. Would he do
No. Let me ask you this. Now he's in school,
right?
And if they told him, let's say he plays sports. Okay. So let's say, listen, we'll give you $200 right now if you go do something to mess this kid's test up or something.
No, he would not do that.
That's the principle I'm talking about. You can love money. We all do. And if you told him, hey, go jump this without hurting anybody, I'll go do it for $50, even if I hurt myself. But if I have to go hurt somebody or do the wrong thing, he'd say no. And why is that? Because since the day he was born, people instill principles, and he knows right from wrong.
I should have reaffirmed that he's not a money whore, but he does like money because he's a teenage boy. Pay for gas, different things like that. So the thing is, I would like to redirect that he is a money whore, but only if it was going to be like something simple, like I dare you to eat, like take a drink out of this old milk or something like that. And I'm not going to do that. It's disgusting. I'll pay you $20. Okay, I'll take a little.
And I know it's too well enough to know he knows.
Yeah, things that would be detrimental to him, he might do.
And this is what we're asking. And this is what we're asking these elected officials: do the right thing, man. Just do the right thing. Yeah, I know, but do the right thing. And
I'm not saying I'm the pessimist on the show, but I'm the pessimist, and I'm thinking he's the idealist. I'm usually an idealist. I believe anybody can do anything when it comes to certain things in life, like politics, since I've studied it for so long. And nobody's ever going to know everything. There's just far too many of them that, like Ted Cruz. Just for a little bitty thing, with what President Trump said about him and his wife, like how could you even look at that thing and stuff? Called her a thing. And, Ted Cruz afterwards works for Trump.
Right.
To get him elected.
That. I don't understand
where are your cojones?
I know.
If somebody says that about your wife, how can you sit there and say, sure, I'll help you? Is your job more important? Is your attachment to the president more important than your own wife that you said that you'd marry and you'd love and respect and stuff? All that shit went out the window, evidently, because it's about my political life.
Right.
And so, Ted Cruz is just a...
And I agree.
He's a special person, man, to be able to have somebody say that on a show. This is during a debate when he said it.
Yeah,
to sit there in front of millions of people, have somebody
just
dog your
one
wife,
more
and for you
reason
to like,
why
really?
I don't like Trump, the man, the person, the human being. I just don't agree with that. And but I guess when's our next podcast?
We'll try to get one up sooner or later for you guys. I know that I haven't been looking at the camera very much because I'm not really into that. You know, I was having a discussion with my good friend. We'll try to get another one up soon for you. You're probably going to be seeing this after at least a day or two after Super Tuesday, so we'll know if Bernie's got it, if Biden's still alive, coronavirus, if it's spread anymore. We want to give a shout out to our producer, Vinny, who's going to set us up hopefully for the near future at least, so that we can do more of these.
Thank you, Vinny.
If you do like
Really
this,
appreciate it.
if you do like us on video, if you like this go back and forth instead of just hearing us talk and stuff, please leave us comments. If you don't just like view it. Let us know, because if this is not the way you want us to go, I can easily take the camera back off and we can just record our voices. But we did want to try to do something new with technology, since there were, I would say, you know, each podcast has gone well over 100, I believe. And the first one is closing in on 700, which doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but we didn't think anybody would listen to us. So, I mean, we appreciate that. But, you know, if you leave us a comment, please, and say yay or nay on the video, that'll give us, because like I said, out of the podcast that we've done, we've had probably 15 or 20 people leave comments either through Facebook, Twitter account. We have all those different accounts that you can go to catch up on us. Also, it's not just on this YouTube channel, but saying, can you ever put video on, like how we see on ESPN or something, or like talk shows and stuff. And we're like, I don't know. So I pitched in, I got this camera, seems to be working pretty well and stuff. So if this is something that you want, we will continue this. We'll do green screen maybe, and we'll have stuff in the background that'll look really cool. Vinny's like a whiz on this. He's going to be able to run this stuff and make it look really professional instead of just two older guys that are still in their 40s, and his birthday's coming up in about a month or two. But we can do this for you if you want it. But we're going to keep going whether you like it or not.
And we will have a podcast tomorrow. It'll be a sports podcast tomorrow.
Strictly no politics, no religion, no love or hate, just straight Dallas
straight
Cowboys
out
stuff.
sports.
Stuff
So
like
we'll be coming back tomorrow. But thank you very much. I had a lot of fun today.
that. Yeah, same here.
Thank you, Vinny. Appreciate it.
And Vinny's off screen and stuff because he's our producer, and he's like letting us know how many minutes and how stupid we are. And so we just hope that you enjoyed this. And if we got you pissed off a little bit about politics, comment. Come on. We'll let you on. This is what makes America great, is that we can go and talk about things. We don't have to fist fight or, you know, do horrible things. We live in a free country with free ideas.
Yeah, and just we want to hear the other side. I mean, we give our opinion here, but if somebody disagrees, you know, you can comment or you can come on. I mean, and we like to hear your side. And
we'll work around your schedule.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have jobs that we have families and stuff, but why not have somebody else on? And it'd be interesting and stuff. I mean, unless you just really like what you see here, you know what I'm saying? So, out.
Peace.
Take it easy, brother.